Welcome back into the Sports Source. Oh, we're behind, so I can cut out this ad. Oh, wait, DanielHoodRoofing.com, folks. If you need a new roof, this is the team to trust. Daniel has had his guys on the roofs of just about every home owned by a sports sorcerer. We trust him and them. You can too. Plus, get $250 off any new roof during hoop season. Call Daniel's folks today. He's got operators standing by. Actually, you do have somebody working the phones today. So Daniel Hood Roofing. All right, we are back with Daniel, Justin Hamilton, Josh Ward, Vince Farrar here. I want to continue the conversation we started in the last segment and tie it in with a couple of former Duke football coaches. Steve Spurrier was considered a quarterback guru. From Duke to Florida, his guys put up big numbers. He won titles, but they were never really NFL stars. He never turned out the great. I mean, Rex Grossman was his best protege, I guess. And then he went to South Carolina and completely changed his system because it was more mobile quarterbacks, and he developed them as well, but they weren't pro guys. On the other hand, another former Duke head coach, Tennessee fans will remember, David Cutcliffe, didn't have the coaching success of Steve Spurrier. He was considered a guru, but not going on Mount Rushmore like Spurrier. He coached Peyton Manning at Tennessee. That's one level of facilities and money. Then he coached Eli Manning at Ole Miss. Then he coached Daniel Jones at Duke, who didn't look great yesterday, but this year away from Joe Judge, looked like David Cutcliffe did his work there too. Those are two different guys, both considered good quarterback coaches, and it just depends on what you're looking for. I mean, Cutcliffe produced guys who turned out to be pro stars. Spurrier didn't, but he won a lot of games and put up a lot of numbers. If I'm Tennessee, as we kind of hinted at in that last segment, I would be perfectly happy if Josh Heupel just churns up the numbers and throws out a bunch of Rex Grossmans. Because if we're winning here, hey, good luck in the pros. I'm all about Knoxville and Neyland Stadium and championships. Agree, disagree?
Yep.
I agree.
Or is that so obvious it's quick? Yeah.
The thing is to keep your job in college, you have to win games. It's not about turning out guys to the pros. That's a bonus, but you have to win games. And the way you win games is you get guys to perform in your system. It's not about I'm prepping this guy for the NFL. It's about this is how we win games. And Josh Heupel has done that.
Obviously the university's got to look out for themselves. It's a school, it's a business, just like anything else. I just hope they also have a little bit of the UT baseball coach's mindset too, where he's like, these guys aren't our guys to just farm out. You also have to take care of them because that's where they're going to make their money. You got to care for their future as well.
Certainly, I'm not trying to be too.
Yeah, I know. It's tough, but it's the university is a business. They need to protect themselves first.
Well, I just say this: coaches, if you want job security, you better win games. Churning out guys to the pros, and you go 6-6 every year, you're not going to be there churning guys out at the pros. No. Gentlemen, let me ask you this: who do you think Josh Heupel is closer to? Of those two I just threw out, those are two different quarterback coaches, both considered good in their own way. You think he's closer to the Steve Spurrier type, who just has the system? Again, that's a bad way of putting it. It's who has a spectacular system, or do you think he's closer to David Cutcliffe, who it's more a product of his coaching the quarterbacks? I think he's closer to Spurrier. I think it's the system.
Yeah, I think so too. I would say Spurrier, and if you have the right kind of talent at that position, they can still make it just fine to the next level. But we're still waiting to see that, right? So I think it's the system. I think it's the development of Velus Jones and then Cedric Tillman and then Jalen Hyatt, and the quarterback play improves because the receiver play improves. So the system at Utah State, then to Missouri, then to UCF, then to Tennessee.
Yeah, and he's starting to get a lot of NFL players. But I think to change the narrative, it's got to be quarterback. So I think Hendon Hooker can change that for him if he has success. Because then all that development is going to be pointed back to Josh Heupel, and then that will be the face of it. I think that's something that's missing a little bit in terms of recruiting potential, is having that NFL pedigree and that coaching a quarterback and developing a quarterback for the NFL level. I don't think because he doesn't have a long track record like Sarkisian that he can't do it. But I think Hooker can change that conversation for him.
Yeah, I just think it's two sides of the same coin. There's not a wrong answer here, and I also don't think there's a bad answer in terms of if you've got a guy who can produce the quarterbacks, you're probably going to get some wins out of him on the way. But I like the Heupel system. If I'm a football fan, a college fan, and my school's going to hire one of these guys who's going to produce guys to the pros or who's going to win games, I'll take the guy who's going to win games, put up numbers.
His system is very user-friendly for a quarterback, which is why he's been able to go place to place and almost have immediate success. In the NFL, I mean, the play call itself is a paragraph. and you're not trying to snap it at hyperspeed, and you're not trying to run through the opponents. You're teaching a guy a totally different vantage point of playing the position, where you're making checks, you're audibling at the line, you're doing a lot of things that their quarterbacks are not asked to do at Tennessee or with Heupel. So there's just a difference, but both can have success.
Art Briles ran this system successfully at Baylor. RG3 looked like he had pro athleticism until Mike Shanahan blew his leg off, played him in the playoff game with a destroyed leg. Bryce Petty wasn't an NFL guy. Who was his other big quarterback at Baylor?
Jarrett Stidham?
Well, Stidham went to Auburn but he transferred from Baylor to Auburn. He had one other guy that he had great success with, whose name escapes me right now because I don't cover Baylor. But still, he didn't turn on a lot of pro guys with this system. But he won a lot of games with it.
The NFL game is going more towards the college game, so that it could change. And just because we talk about the system doesn't mean that player development isn't happening.
Sure.
Hendon Hooker will tell you how much he and that coaching staff helped him to develop, so it can be both.
Tell you what, we'll talk about their player development. We've praised them for that all year long. We're going to do a little bit more of it later when we show you who wound up on Pro Football Focus's top 100 list of the prospects coming out this year. A lot of Vols on it. When we come back, though, I've got a question for the former players over here. I've got a question for the media guys over here. We're going to talk about Tennessee secondary. We're going to talk about who can close the gap on Georgia. Both those coming up next on the Sports Source.